Hello, my internet peeps. How are you today? This is Scott Rideshare. So today I want to tell you about a conversation I had. It was about 4 months ago, 5 months ago, when I picked up this young lady, and I don't know why the conversation came up, but it was right around the time, shortly after, a guy who was on Twitch, the Twitch channel. He had a channel up, and he was deplatformed from Uber because of his channel, his Twitch channel. And I was I don't, it must have been on my mind because I somehow brought it up, and the lady says to me, "You're recording me?" And then I went into kind of explaining how things went, how things work. All right. And before I signed up with Uber, so you're looking at probably about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I was doing research, and there was one person who was on YouTube he was in some kind of trouble. I don't remember exactly what it was. The channel looks like Ryan is Driving, the channel that you have now called Ryan is Driving. I don't know if it was Ryan is Driving. I'm not saying it was. But if you go to that channel and you look at it, that's kind of what the channel looked like to me 2.5, 3 years ago. And what happened is the person who was downloading these videos onto YouTube, he got in trouble because he didn't get consent to post the videos on YouTube. And the channel's up now, and his channel is up now, and it's running fine. And by the way, if you go there and you subscribe there and you're not subscribed to mine, I want to say please come back and subscribe to mine, simply because I gave you the heads up, and Ryan doesn't need the heads up. The guy's a big star. Anyway, Uber, when I did sign up, both Uber and Lyft recommended that I get a dash cam and put it in my car. And they were saying one that you should get one that records the traffic in front of you, and one that records what's happening in the car with you. And they were saying it's for your safety. The idea being that if there's a camera on somebody, they're going to be on better behavior, which we have seen that that's not necessarily true. In either case, both Uber and Lyft recommended that you put the dash cam. Now, here's the thing to understand. For those of you who don't understand this, when you're recording somebody, each state has its own laws, and you have states that have what's known as a one-party consent. And generally, like if I'm recording myself and you along with it, I'm consenting by recording. If I'm recording somebody else and the camera's not on me, it's just on them, then I need to get their consent to record them. Then you have what's known as two-party consent. And I would be the one party, and the second party would be the other person. They would need to consent for me to record them. Now, you can, in a two-party consent state, you could just put stickers up on your windshield, and it says basically that you are being recorded when you get into the car. So once people see that, they get in the car anyway. Well, they've already given their consent just by getting in the car. It's called implied consent. Now, I think a lot of people kind of stare at the trees and forget that there's a forest around them. And what happened with Just Smurf, and by the way, shortly after that, it happened with Your Personal Driver. Now, Your Personal Driver was reinstated, but as far as I know, Just Smurf hasn't been. I haven't really looked to find out. But in either case, I remember years ago when I was working at a store, and the news team came in, and they wanted to do like a puff piece. And they wanted everyone out of the shot, clear the shot, no one on the set while they record. And then the director looked at me and said, just walk across the camera casually. Don't look at the camera, just walk as if you're going somewhere over here. I said, okay. So I walked across the camera. And then they sat down and they said, sign this. And I signed it, and it was a release. It was a release form saying that it was okay for them to use my image, even though, I consented by walking in front of the camera. And then you have prank videos. And with prank videos, if you look at them, if you check them out on YouTube, and you watch enough of them, you'll see that there are people out in the street, out in public, and their faces are mosaiced out. Now, a lot of the argument that was going on at the time was that once you record it, it's your recording. You could do whatever you want with it. And another thing they were saying is that, you know, once you own it, you could publish it if you want. And I think I'm no lawyer, right? But I don't think you can. I think you can record, like you could record anything. You know, if you're out in the street and you just start recording, that's fine. There's no one can stop you. It's not illegal. You can do it. You're out in the public. You can record anyone. It's the publishing it part or releasing it part where you need consent. And from what I understand, again, I'm no attorney, but I believe you need to have a consent, you know, some kind of consent to post somebody, you know, for the video, whatever video you record. And that's why you see the faces mosaiced out on a lot of those prank videos. Even the movie theaters, if you sit to the end of the movie, right? It doesn't matter what movie it is. If you sit to the end of the movie, there's a disclaimer at the very end saying if there's any similarities between any person, living or dead, it's purely coincidental. That's how much people kind of have to protect themselves. Now, I know with the movies, it's generally a work of fiction, but people can take somebody, you know, make a movie about their life without that disclaimer and post it. You can get sued. And I think if you record somebody and you use it, that person can sue you. Now, it's not illegal in the sense that cops are going to come banging on your door, or the FBI, and they're going to have a warrant, and they're going to take you away and arrest you. But in civil court, you could lose money if you're worth anything. I mean, most of the times people don't care because, you know, you can go through the whole court case and not win anything. Now, as far as like Uber deplatforming people for live streaming, it's my belief that when people are drunk, from what I understand, according to the law, that if somebody's drunk, they're drunk enough, they can't give consent. So because they can't give consent, you can't really you can't really say to somebody who's stone drunk, hey, I'm going to post this on YouTube. And they'll go, okay, no problem, because they're too drunk to make a decision. Do you know what I'm saying? And as far as I can tell, Uber is just trying to protect themselves because many times people will blame Uber for what the driver does, even though, you know, Uber has no qualms about it. A lot of people, too, were looking at the terms of service and they were saying there's nothing against, or at the time, there was nothing against live streaming in the terms of service that people signed. Yeah, I get that. What I did want to talk about, though, is what's known as proprietary information. Now, I've been around proprietary information for pretty much most of my life. When I was a Blockbuster video store manager, I had the names and addresses of all my customers, phone numbers, work phone number, driver's license number. All that information, you know, they filled it out on the application. You enter, not all of it, but some of it into the computer. And that information is proprietary. In other words, I don't own it. I can't do anything I want with it. The only thing I could use it for is in terms of working for Blockbuster. When I was in security, it was the same thing. I had to take people's photo ID, and not just a photo and laminate. I mean, I needed to have some kind of ID, real ID, usually a driver's license, and, you know, type their name into the computer. And the rest of their information, I wasn't allowed to, you know, take down or use or anything. But also, any information that I did gather was all proprietary. I could not use it for myself. I can only use it in terms of for the job, for security. That's what's known as proprietary information. You're given information to use, but you can only use it for the job that you're with. Now, I know for a fact, at least the way I remember it, from 2 years ago, when I joined up with both of these companies, they both said, you're going to get proprietary information and you're not allowed to use it, okay? So when I get a request for a driver and I go to pick the driver up, I have a photo ID, I have the driver's address, and I could take screenshots of it and then drive them to work and take screenshots of that. The problem is that that information is proprietary. I can't use it. I'm not supposed to use it. And anyone that does use it is breaking the terms of service. So if I'm in a live stream and you're telling me things that's proprietary information for me to do my job, now we're broadcasting this all over the internet. This is why you can't do it. Now with Ryan, if you watch his video, he does it all the time. He asks their permission to post it on YouTube. And then he takes out things like phone numbers and addresses, all the personal information that could tie back to the person. He takes it out. And then you'll even see some faces are mosaicked out, while he's doing the ride, which means he didn't get consent to post it on YouTube. So I think a lot of times what people are doing is they're confusing the fact that because they're allowed to record, because they follow the consent state law, that they're allowed to just post it. And no, you're not. Legally, you're not. Now, since then, both Uber and Lyft have changed their terms of service to no live streaming. And that makes sense because that helps protect their proprietary information. And that's the only reason why I'm saying this is I'm trying to tell any driver who happens to see this to don't assume because you recorded it that you could post it on the internet, okay, for a YouTube channel. Just because you see other people doing it, you got to watch what they're doing. And I would say that watch out for proprietary information. You don't want to release that. You also don't want to dox people. I mean, you don't know what crazy person is watching your videos and they see this cute girl in the back of the car and she gives out her address and you post it all over the internet and the guy drives over to her house and kills her. You got to be careful about stuff like that. And I'm not saying this to come down on any drivers that happen to be doing this. What I'm saying is, I'm saying this in reference to protect yourself, okay? So just watch out for proprietary information. That's the main thing. And I think a lot of people got confused about that and they were saying that they were allowed to do it. I don't think you are. Again, I'm no attorney, but I'm fairly certain that when it comes down to it, just by you recording it doesn't mean you could do whatever you want with the recording. So those are two different things. And just be careful of that, okay? Anyway, this is Scott Rideshare. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment. And thank you very much. Have a great day.